Look around you. You are drowning in a sea of noise, suffocating in a fog of other people's opinions. They tell you that there is safety in numbers, that the herd is where you belong, that solitude is a sickness to be cured. This is the first lie they feed you. They want you terrified of the silence, because in the silence, you might hear the truth. You have been trained to mistake the warmth of the crowd for love, when in reality, it is nothing more than the friction of 1,000 bodies huddled together in fear. You are not safe there. You are merely hidden. Every time you open your mouth to seek validation, you are handing a piece of your soul to a person who does not know you, does not care about you, and would step over your corpse to reach their own goals. You are bleeding your energy into a bottomless void. You smile when you want to snarl. You nod when you want to scream. You have become a mirror, reflecting only what others want to see, until you look into the glass and realize there is no one staring back. You have murdered your own nature to feed the vampires of social approval. The sheep feels safe in the flock. It moves with the mass, eats where the mass eats, and sleeps where the mass sleeps. But the sheep does not realize that the shepherd does not protect it because he loves it. He protects it because he intends to shear it or slaughter it. The flock is not a community, it is a waiting room for the butcher. When you cannot be alone, you are the sheep. You are edible. You are a resource to be consumed by those stronger than you. To leave the flock is to accept the terror of the open field, but it is the only place where you will not be eaten. Dependency is a chain you forge link by link every time you say, "I can't do this alone." You have crippled your own limbs by using others as crutches. You believe that you are building a network, but you are building a prison. A man who needs others to feel complete is a man who can be dismantled by a single absence. If your peace depends on their presence, you are a slave to their whims. They leave, and you collapse. This is not friendship. This is parasitism. And deep down, you know it. You feel the fragility of it in your chest every time the room goes quiet. To choose solitude is an act of war against your conditioning. When you first step away, it will not feel like freedom. It will feel like withdrawal. The silence will scream at you. Your mind, untrained and undisciplined, will attack you with memories of your failures and fears of the future. This is why people run back to the crowd. They cannot stand the company of their own minds, but you must stay. You must sit in the fire of your own thoughts and let it burn away the rot. You must endure the detox. This pain is not the end. It is the surgery. Once you detach, your vision clears. When you are no longer desperate to be part of the play, you can finally see the strings. You see the manipulation in a friend's compliment. You see the envy hidden in a lover's smile. You see the power dynamics shifting in every conversation. The observer always holds more power than the participant. While they are busy performing, posturing, and begging for attention, you are watching. You are gathering intelligence. You are learning the mechanics of human nature while they are trapped in its gears. Consider the wolf. He is often hungry. He is often cold. He sleeps with one eye open, but he is free. The dog is fed. The dog is warm. The dog is petted. But the dog wears a collar and eats only when the master allows. Solitude requires you to embrace the hunger of the wolf. You must learn to hunt for your own meaning, to kill your own excuses, to feast on your own achievements. It is a harder life, a colder life. But the air you breathe is yours. The ground you walk on is yours. You answer to no whistle. Your mind must become a fortress. In the beginning, it is an open field, trampled by anyone who walks by. You must build the walls. stone by stone. Every time you say no, you lay a brick. Every time you refuse to explain yourself, you dig the moat deeper. A fortress is not built to keep people out of malice. It is built to keep the treasure within safe. You have value, you have potential, you have a destiny. But if you leave the gates open, the thieves will come. Solitude is the mason that builds the walls that protect your soul. Basic economics governs human value. Scarcity creates worth. If you are always available, always reachable, always present, you are common. You are cheap. You are like the air, vital, but ignored because you are everywhere. To be valued, you must be scarce. You must remove your presence. When you withdraw into solitude, you become a mystery. People wonder where you are. They wonder what you are doing. They begin to project power onto you. Your absence speaks louder than your presence ever could. Nothing great was ever created in a committee. No masterpiece was painted by a group text. The great works of history, the philosophies that changed the world, the inventions that broke the mold, they were born in the terrifying silence of an empty room. Creativity is a shy beast. It will not show its face when there is noise. You must be alone to hear the whisper of your own genius. If you are constantly consuming the thoughts of others, you have no room to birth your own. Solitude is the incubator of greatness. The ultimate power is emotional autonomy. It is the ability to stand in the middle of a hurricane and not be moved. When you are alone, you learn to self-soothe. You learn that a bad day does not require a shoulder to cry on. It requires a spine to stand on. You stop outsourcing your emotional regulation to your partner, your parents, or your friends. You become your own father and your own mother. You become the source of your own stability. When you no longer need them to tell you that you are okay, you become untouchable. We all wear masks. It is the price of admission to society. But if you wear the mask too long, the skin underneath begins to rot. Solitude is the only place where you can take it off. It is the only place where you can be ugly, where you can be weak, where you can be strange without judgment. And in that nakedness, you find your strength. You realize that the person you were pretending to be was a weak character written by a bad author. The person you are in the dark is the only person who can save you. Why do you fear being alone? Because it reminds you of the grave. Solitude is a rehearsal for death. We enter this world alone, and we leave it alone. The crowd is a distraction from this ultimate truth. They drink, they laugh, they copulate, all to forget that the clock is ticking. But the Stoic faces the void. He sits with the silence until the silence becomes a friend. When you accept that you are ultimately solitary, death loses its sting. You stop living a life of distraction and start living a life of intention. The lion does not roar all the time. He lies in the tall grass, unseen, unheard. He is not anxious about what the zebras are thinking. He does not need the validation of the hyenas. He rests. He conserves his power. But when he moves with absolute fatality. Solitude teaches you to be the lion in the grass. It teaches you to wait, to watch, to let the world spin in its chaos while you sharpen your claws. You do not need to bark. You just need to be ready to bite. In the crowd, your ego is a balloon, constantly inflated by praise or deflated by criticism. Alone, the ego starves. There is no one to impress. There is no one to outperform. There is just you and the raw reality of your existence. This is painful. The ego will scream. It will demand a distraction, a phone, a voice, anything to feel important. Let it starve. When the ego dies, the spirit awakes. You stop doing things for applause and start doing them for purpose. You become a vessel for something higher than your own vanity. Your attention is the most valuable currency you possess, and you are throwing it into the gutter. You are fragmented. You are shattered into 1,000 pieces by notifications, demands, and trivialities. Solitude gathers the pieces. It brings the lens of your mind into a single burning point of focus. A man with focus can pierce through steel. A man with focus can bend reality to his will. But you cannot focus when you are constantly reacting. You must retreat to the dark room to develop the photograph of your future. If you have not been betrayed, you have not lived long enough. It is inevitable. The people you love will disappoint you. The people you trust will fail you. If your foundation is built on them, your house will fall. Solitude reinforces the foundation with steel. It teaches you that while betrayal hurts, it is not fatal. You learn that you can survive the knife in the back. In fact, you learn to pull it out and use it as a weapon. The scar tissue of solitude is thicker than the skin of innocence. Machiavelli knew that familiarity breeds contempt. The more people see you, the more they know your habits, your flaws, and your weaknesses, the less they respect you. You become mundane. To maintain power, you must maintain distance. You must be a mountain, visible to all, but scalable by few. By withdrawing into solitude, you protect your mystique. You keep your cards close to your chest. In a world of oversharing, the man who says nothing is the man who everyone wants to listen to. Call it God, call it the universe, call it the subconscious. There is a higher intelligence that speaks only in the frequency of silence. You cannot hear it over the noise of the television or the chatter of the bar. You have to tune out the static of the world to tune into the signal of the divine. The greatest revelations, the deepest intuitions, the guidance you are desperately searching for, it is waiting for you in the quiet. Being alone is not an act of isolation. It is an act of communion with the infinite. How can you correct your course if you never look at the map? You are running a race with your head down, following the heels of the runner in front of you. You don't even know if you're running in the right direction. Solitude is the pit stop. It is the moment you look up and realize you are running off a cliff. It gives you the space to audit your life, to look at your habits, your finances, your body, and admit the ugly truth. I am not who I am supposed to be. Only in the mirror of solitude can you see the flaws you need to fix. A harmless man is not a good man. A harmless man is a weak man. A good man is a dangerous man who has his monster under control. Solitude is the cage where you meet your monster. You must go into the dark and wrestle with your shadow. You must understand your capacity for violence, for selfishness, for evil. Only by acknowledging the darkness within can you truly control it. If you do not visit your shadow in solitude, it will visit you in public, and it will destroy you. Comparison is the thief of joy, but it is also the architect of misery. In the herd, you are constantly looking sideways. Who has more? Who is faster? Who is better? You run a race you did not choose, chasing a prize you do not want. Alone, there is no one to compare yourself to. There is only you, yesterday, and you, today. The hierarchy dissolves. The status anxiety evaporates. You are free to pursue what actually matters to you, not what looks good on a resume. Solitude breaks the mirror of envy. They say iron sharpens iron, meaning people make each other better. This is a half-truth. Most people are not iron, they are clay. They will dull your edge. They will soften you. To truly sharpen your mind, you must grind it against the hard stone of difficulty. You must read difficult books. You must lift heavy weights. You must solve complex problems. And you must do these things alone. The struggle of the solitary man creates a sharpness that the comfortable man can never comprehend. Have you noticed how time flies when you are distracted? A decade can vanish in a blur of weekends and happy hours. But when you are alone, time slows down. A day of deep work feels like a lifetime. A week of silence feels like a year of growth. This is not boredom. This is life extension. You are actually experiencing your life rather than fast-forwarding through it. If you want to live longer, do not add years to your life. Add life to your years through the density of solitude. Marcus Aurelius spoke of the inner citadel, the place inside you that cannot be breached by fortune or fire. But you cannot find this citadel if you are always at the gates, letting visitors in. You must go deep inside. You must furnish the rooms of your mind with principles that are unshakable. When the world collapses outside, and it will collapse, you will have a place to retreat to. A place of warmth, of logic, of calm. The man without an inner life is a homeless man, sleeping on the streets of circumstance. When you become comfortable with being alone, your yes becomes expensive. You no longer say yes out of fear of missing out. You no longer say yes out of guilt. You say yes only when it aligns with your mission. This selectivity makes you powerful. People chase what retreats. When you are no longer easy to access, your value skyrockets. You become the prize. By being willing to walk away from everyone, you become the person everyone wants to walk with. Do not confuse loneliness with solitude. Loneliness is the poverty of self. Solitude is the richness of self. Loneliness is crying because you have no one to play with. Solitude is smiling because you finally have the board to yourself. You can be lonely in a crowded room. You can be lonely in a marriage. But you can be blissful on a mountaintop. The cure for loneliness is not more people. The cure is to build a self that is worth spending time with. If you are bored alone, you are boring. The goal is not to live in a cave forever. The goal is to leave the herd, become the wolf, and then return. But when you return differently. You are no longer one of them. You are among them, but not of them. You can navigate the social games without being trapped by them. You can love without being dependent. You can lead without needing their applause. You re-enter the world not as a beggar seeking scraps of attention, but as a king visiting his subjects. What will you leave behind? The sheep leaves nothing but bones. The wolf leaves a legend. Your legacy is determined by what you do when no one is watching. It is determined by the battles you fight in the dark. The work you do in solitude is the work that will echo in eternity. Stop worrying about being liked. Worry about being effective. Worry about being true. History does not remember the nice. It remembers the bold. It remembers the ones who had the courage to walk alone. So, here is the choice. It is simple, and it is brutal. You can stay in the warmth of the crowd, sedated, comfortable, and slowly dying of mediocrity. Or you can step into the cold. You can embrace the silence. You can walk the path of the sovereign. It will hurt. You will bleed. You will freeze. But you will be free. The door is open. The wilderness is waiting. Walk through it, or stay and rot. The choice is yours.